Let's take this first one now. I'm washing my hands, cleaning a lot. I can't stop worrying about coronavirus. Am I showing symptoms of developing OCD, or are we all somewhat in this boat?
Yeah, it's a great question. Things like OCD, ADHD, other disorders like that are really very dynamic in the brain, meaning that they're not always just set. And that we can actually, go back and forth where somebody might be a little bit OCD naturally and they might actually make it worse, because what we're looking at are really imbalances in networks in the brain. And on the left side of the brain, we have a switch that essentially gets us to do things. And there are switches there that will help us to move and protect ourselves. And the right brain has a switch that kind of turns that off or turns it down or dampens it. And right now what we see is that different triggers can trigger that left brain switch. And the right brain is normally activated by going outside in nature and doing more creative things. And so what we find is that people that have OCD, it might get a lot worse during this time. And people that are on the cusp of having OCD may actually trigger it and even go into that range where they really could clinically be labeled as OCD.
Next one coming in. Does everyone with OCD have a fear of germs?
No, there's basically 4 different types of OCD that are categories that we look at. One group is about symmetry, right? People, they have to line things up or everything has to be perfectly lined up. Another is hoarding. When we see people that hoard, that's a form of OCD. Another is hygiene, which is really washing their hands. And another is checking, where you have to check if the lights are turned off or the stove is off. And some people can have all of those. Some people can have just one. So it's not all around just hygiene or washing hands or anything. But these are all what we call stereotypical human behaviors that we all have to a certain extent. It's just out of control with people with OCD, generally because the right side of the brain, which breaks it, is underdeveloped or underactive.
Okay, next one coming in. My daughter is on the autistic spectrum and has become obsessed with washing her hands. How can I help her manage this? But we're also all being told to really wash our hands a lot too.
Yes. And people that are on the autism spectrum, we know that they have really an extreme version of this imbalance where, again, their left side of their brain is very high. And what we can see, some of them have these genius level, savant level skills. And we see that people with autism often have what we call tics or stims, which is really kind of a form of physical OCD. We can see that they also have OCD or obsessive or hyperactivity or ADHD. And so, all of these things are just kind of dynamic imbalances. So they're really part of the same issue. They're just slightly different networks that may come online. So it's not unusual with autism that that's the case.
Dr. Melillo, thank you. We're out of time. We thank you. Great questions, great answers.